I'm Nick Seco from HomeRight Windows and Doors, and we're located in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. So we do vinyl replacement windows, we do steel and fiberglass entry doors, we do aluminum storm doors, and we do sliding patio doors, all made by Provia. The windows are a vinyl replacement window, and it could be anything from double hungs to casements to bay and bow windows and everything in between. So when somebody calls in the office and needs an estimate, they get Roxanne on the phone typically, and she would schedule an appointment for me to come out and take some measurements, provide some literature, go through what options we have, and then I would follow up within about 24 to 48 hours with an estimate with all the details of the products as well as the installed price. I find that we're typically much more affordable than the companies that you see advertising on TV or in a lot of other places. If they're spending a lot of advertising dollars, obviously they're passing those costs on to their consumers. You could go to our website at homerightwaynesboro.com, or you could call us at 717-749-4874.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk TriState.
Welcome to Let's Talk TriState, all powered by HomeRight Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State. Speaking of Best of the Tri-State, jumping up to 2025 Best of the Tri-State, as far as financial institutions, we have our friends from Patriot Federal Credit Union. Joining us today, we have Chief Human Resources Officer Mike Dougal. Mike, pleasure to see you, my friend.
Tony, thanks.
We're glad to have you today. We're going to be talking about something that some numbers just came out about our employment rates here in Franklin County and the surrounding area. But primarily we're talking about careers with Patriot.
Yes.
And every single employee that I have talked to, both here at Let's Talk Tri-State as well as at the Besties, absolutely seems to love what they do. So either they're great at faking it, or Patriot is truly an amazing place to work. I seem to think it's an amazing place to work.
It is a great place to work.
Yeah.
We've got over 220 employees now, and being a larger employer in the area, Tiny, we have a lot to offer. Not just great starting rates and good benefits, but we do a lot of promotions from within.
Yeah.
And even though employees may start in a branch or in a contact center, there's a lot to offer in terms of other opportunities.
Yeah, there are so many. And that's what I love about Let's Talk Tri-State is you find out when you have people coming in, especially from Patriot, is all these different facets and areas where you can excel. And that's something that you as a human resources officer are very versed at, is putting folks, connecting them with the right career path,
right,
as you would say. What do you find now, before we break into the list of questions that I come up with, Mike, what do you find now is the most challenging part of human resources?
Wow. Well, considering we've got under 4% unemployment in this area, which is lower even than prior to COVID, it's finding people who are interested in working in the financial services area, people who are willing to serve our members, and people who are dependable, reliable, will show up for work on a regular basis.
I always said when I was in high school, my senior year, we did we just simply call it the work release program.
Sure.
A half day, you get out and go do a job. And our teacher was always talking to managers from local businesses, a lot of the entry level positions. And every year he would send them a survey, and they were gracious enough to complete it and send it back, because he was obviously sending them, he was kind of acting as HR for them. And every year he said the number one thing when it came to remarks on what would you like in an employee was, I need them to show up on time.
Right.
That was the number one thing then. I would imagine that is just as much an issue now.
It is.
It's hard to believe that doesn't just get better. People, you would think that as we get older, we would get better at managing time, but it's not always the case. We just don't do that, I don't think. At least not like we should.
Yeah, in this area of, artificial intelligence, if you will, serving our members is an area that I don't think is ever going to be overtaken by artificial intelligence. That human element is always going to be an important, and, if we have human beings doing the work, they got to show up for work, be on time, and serve our members.
How do you find AI playing into the things that you hear, especially in the financial services? Are you hearing about companies using AI, which obviously Patriot's not when it comes to customer service,
but we are when it comes to other things like fraud prevention. A lot of our IT areas are starting to dabble in the artificial intelligence areas.
It seems to me what I'm gathering in all the interviews that I've done, all the literature that I've read, because AI fascinates me, especially within the technology industry like we are. AI is very prevalent. Radio was one of the first to roll out with because it's a voice, it's hidden behind,
right.
You don't have to worry, it could be an AI. Is it, isn't it? Is it taking over? But I think what I have seen is if it's simply something that's happening kind of on the back end, there's not as much a resistance. It's almost, ignorance is bliss.
Right.
What you don't know, fine. But to your point, people want the human element when it comes to customer service. If I have to call and speak to someone, something, I want it to be a someone, not a something.
Absolutely. Especially when it comes to challenging financial situations, people buying their first home, people being in a financial emergency. They want to sit down, talk eye to eye, with a human being and talk about what's going on, and Patriot appreciates that.
I think a lot of it boils down to empathy.
Sure.
Is it just I need somebody who can get here with me, who's in the trenches, who's legitimately been there and can speak from personal experience and not just something that's gone and curated a bunch of different stuff and spits it out in a perfectly formed human voice sentence, as it were.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's move on from AI. Let's talk about, so you said about our unemployment rates lower than they were even before COVID, which is great. That's what you want. Certainly 0% unemployment would be wonderful. Let's talk about working at Patriot. So sell our viewers, our listeners, on working at Patriot.
So we've got 80,000 members, Tiny. And because of that, most new employees start in what we call direct member service roles, either in the branches or in our contact center or in lending or even back office support. The great thing though is that once we get into those roles, because we're a larger company, we do a lot of promotions. We probably promote every year at least 50 employees, and we celebrate that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that anytime you can go into a job, and I think that's one of the reasons why people don't necessarily go into jobs or don't last, is because they either don't believe it or when they get into the job, they don't see a way to grow.
Right.
And I think that's all about the potential.
Well, and as you said, the neat thing about Patriot is we've got jobs in IT, we've got jobs in fraud, we've got jobs in marketing and finance, a lot of other areas that, if the opening is there and you have an interest in it, we encourage employees to apply for that.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, Mike, because I wanted to hit on that when you talked about the various areas where you could work at Patriot and excel at Patriot. Is when we think of a financial institution, we think of the bank tellers.
Sure.
There's still that mentality, and of course, that those associates still matter, and they're on the front lines, and they're the ones that are physically handling the money in a lot of cases. But there are, to your point, there's marketing, there's IT. Both of those I love. If I wasn't doing what I was doing, I would consider applying because I love both of those avenues, and to know that I may come in, as you said, in a customer service role or boots on the ground type thing, but what you're saying to me is if I have an affinity or an inclination toward IT, I could say, well, hey, I see that job's open there. Is that something that
Absolutely. And that happens all the time. Our director of marketing, Laura, she was in the branches. She was a branch manager before she moved into the marketing area. We've got people in information technology that also started in the branches or in the call center. In the human resources area, we have people who started in back office operations. That's the great thing about Patriot.
Yeah, I think too, who wouldn't want that to be the case? Why wouldn't you want who knows your building better? Who knows your company better?
Right.
You said Laura, who's the director of marketing. She's been on the front lines. Who knows better what the customers want and need and are expecting than her?
And there's value in that.
Oh my goodness. Why companies would ever think I must go outside these walls when what you're saying, Patriot,
it's right there.
Your talent pool is right there, ripe for the picking. Just go get it, right? And they're happy employees, and that makes a world of difference.
We hope so.
Oh, I can tell you they are from experience. I just told you when they're here, when I'm talking to them at the Besties, but also I am a Patriot member, and I have been since I was 16 years old.
Thank you.
I have never had a less than amazing experience with anything that I have ever needed from anybody at Patriot, and that is God's honest truth. I put a stack of Bibles, I'll swear to it, because it's so easy to focus on the negative, but I haven't had any to focus on. I've
Terrific.
always been so happy and thrilled that I've chosen Patriot as my financial institution. I think they're a wonderful company. My money will go nowhere else, as far as I'm concerned.
That's what we like to hear.
And it trickles down to family too. It goes all the way there. So let's talk about some employee engagement. Take us through that when it comes to Patriot.
Yeah, so ideally, what we want is for our employees to see Patriot as more than a paycheck. We want them to feel empowered to serve our members. We want them to get satisfaction from the work that they do. Ideally, we want them to be involved in the communities that we serve, the nonprofits that we support. But most of all, and you said it a moment ago about fun, we want them to have fun at work. We want them to enjoy doing things outside of work that Patriot sponsors.
When we have here at the radio station, we often run contests. And sometimes we run them for 90 days to 6 months. And we always say that if you sound bored talking about what's supposed to be fun,
Right.
our listeners are going to feel bored. They're going to pick up on that. I think it was the same way when it comes to the folks that we see when we go into any business. But we're talking about Patriot. So when I go into Patriot, if the associates are down in the mouth, doom and gloom,
Right.
It's raining even when it's sunny, it's just, if it's a negative atmosphere, that just completely takes over the room. But the good thing is on the complete opposite side of that. When people are happy, when they're engaging with the members, it's an aura where you want to be. You feel welcome. Like I'm not a number to these folks. I'm a member. I know each other. They call me by my first name. When I go into my bank in Waynesboro, my branch in Waynesboro, it's, hey Tiny, how are you? They're that way with everybody. It's not just because I'm on the radio. I hear first names all the time, because I still like to do my business in person, right? But yeah, I hear that personal touch, which I don't care what anyone says, will always mean something when it is done with a personal touch in mind.
And that, very simply, is what employee engagement is all about.
Yeah, and you do a great job with Patriot. How about as far as training, Mike? So we have... you may have people who you see, they have an inclination to go here. They may express interest. Is it something that you would offer training to do, depending on what it is?
Certainly. So as I said, most employees start in the direct member service, like in the branches and the contact center. And that training alone is really over and above, I think, what other financial services companies do. Our employees start out with 2 weeks of training, learning about loan products, learning about deposit products, learning about our delivery channels and the way we serve our members through technology. Then, as you said, once they learn their job, and they're in that for a while, we encourage them to look in other areas.
Right.
And if someone is interested in going to fraud prevention, there's a lot of training that happens in there to teach them about the fraud that we're stopping every day.
Yeah. I think too, with that especially, that's where that empathy comes in with that position too, is because you're dealing with people who, while we understand that fraud and identity theft is so prevalent, I mean, it is just everywhere, it seems.
It is.
And we all understand that. We all get it. It's unfortunate, but we get it. But when it happens to you, it can just bring you down to levels you didn't even know, because suddenly your credit's getting dinged. I made purchases in Indiana. I don't remember. I didn't do that. You mean a credit card was opened in my name? All of these things that just come crashing down on you. You want to know someone is there, that cares, and that wants to get this right the ship for you.
Right. Normally those calls come into our contact center, and our contact center agents are equipped with the knowledge and the skills to help the member.
Right.
Because it's a scary situation when that happens to you, but they're prepared to take those calls when they happen.
I'm so glad that they are. It's good to know. That just happened to me not long ago. And when I called Patriot, same thing. It was, okay, we'll get this taken care of. Don't worry. Sometimes just hearing it's going to be okay is enough to just get you just out just a little bit. Okay, yeah, I'm going to be worried, but if someone who's been there, who's seen it all, done it all, knows it all, and heard it all, is telling me we're going to get through this, well, guess what? We're going to get through it. And what they use the terminology that, okay, we're going to get this taken care of. It became a we. It became a team. And I felt very relieved, also empowered by that, which was great, because it's that connection. It's not let me see what I can do. It is, we're going to do this. We have a team on the other end of the phone call, on the other end of the online chat,
right,
that stands behind you, and that speaks to the. I feel like I should travel with you, Mike. I really do, because I've seen and heard so many stories about Patriot. I've been in so many of the stories with Patriot that. The folks there just are shining stars. And I'm preaching to the choir here. You know that. I'm sure you're very proud of
It's nice to hear, though. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mike, is there anything that we didn't cover today on Let's Talk Tri-State about Patriot and careers with Patriot?
No, I don't think so. If anyone who watched the interview today, if you're interested in exploring a career at Patriot Federal Credit Union, go to our website, to the careers section, patriotfcu.org.
We've been speaking today on Let's Talk Tri-State with Mike Dougal. He is the Chief Human Resources Officer with our friends at Patriot Federal Credit Union. Mike, would love to have you back with Let's Talk Tri-State, okay?
Thanks, Tiny.
All right, and thank you so much for joining us on Let's Talk Tri-State.
Let's Talk Tri-State.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.